What would it be like to spend a single day as a Qing Dynasty imperial concubine? Imagine your rank is Pin, an imperial concubine. It is an awkward position within the Forbidden City's hierarchy. One promotion makes you a consort with your own palace and far greater influence. One demotion leaves you a noble lady without even the privilege of living in your own residence. Your entire future depends on staying exactly where you are or climbing higher. Now, it's 3 a.m. Time to wake up. If that sounds impossibly early, remember this. The Qing imperial family was famous for its strict discipline. The emperor himself rose before dawn, usually between 4 and 5 a.m., to prepare for the morning court. As one of his concubines, you are not expected to attend court, but your day begins just as early. Long before sunrise, your attendants are already preparing your robes, jewelry, and cosmetics. By first light, you must be perfectly dressed and ready to pay your morning respects to both the Empress Dowager and the Empress. Winter inside the Forbidden City is bitterly cold. Although charcoal braziers provide some warmth, your rank strictly limits how much fuel your palace is allowed to receive. The first task of every morning is simple. Wash your hands and face, brush your teeth, relieve yourself. But even this is far different from modern life. There are no toilets inside the palace. Instead, your maids bring you an elaborately carved wooden chamber pot known as a guan fang. Inside, specially prepared pine shavings absorb moisture and reduce unpleasant odors. You're expected to finish quickly. There is no time to waste. The most exhausting part of your morning is only beginning. Your hair must be styled according to strict palace fashion. During the early and middle Qing dynasty, noblewomen commonly wore elaborate hairstyles such as the liang batao. To keep every strand perfectly in place, your attendants apply generous amounts of scented styling paste, smoothing your hair into a flawless shape that must last the entire day. Then comes the makeup. Like many aristocratic women of the era, you pursue the ideal complexion, skin as pale and flawless as polished jade. To achieve it, layers of white face powder are carefully brushed onto your skin. What few people realize is that many of these cosmetics contained lead. Day after day, year after year, the makeup slowly poisons the very women it was meant to beautify. Their faces become unnaturally pale. Their health gradually declines. Many imperial concubines spend years battling chronic illness without ever understanding the true cause. By the time the final ornaments are secured in your hair, the first light of dawn is already spreading across the rooftops of the Forbidden City, and your day is only begun.
By 5 or 6 in the morning, the sky is only beginning to brighten. One by one, the imperial consorts leave their palaces and make their way toward the empress's residence for the daily morning audience. Even this short walk is governed by strict rules. As a Pin, you're not allowed to walk down the center of the pathway. That privilege belongs to the empress and the imperial noble consort. Instead, you keep to the sides, your eyes lowered, your posture carefully controlled. If you happen to encounter a higher-ranking consort along the way, you must immediately step aside, lower yourself to your knees, and perform the proper formal salute. There are no exceptions, no matter how cold the morning is or how long you have already been awake. Eventually, you arrive outside the Empress's palace, but your journey is far from over. You cannot simply walk inside. You wait, silently, sometimes for several minutes, sometimes much longer. If the Empress has not yet awakened or is still finishing her own preparations, everyone waits outside. No one complains, no one speaks. Only when permission is granted may you finally enter. Inside, every movement has been practiced countless times. Every bow, every kneel, every kowtow. Every gesture must be perfect. One mistake could be remembered for years. By the time the audience is over, nearly 2 hours have already passed, and you've done little more than stand, walk, kneel, and bow. The morning ceremony alone drains much of your energy. Finally, breakfast. At first glance, the imperial kitchen seems incredibly generous. As a concubine of your rank, your daily food allowance officially includes pork, rice, wheat flour, tofu, vegetables, sugar, cooking oil, vinegar, soy sauce, eggplants, cucumbers, and many other ingredients. On paper, it sounds like a feast, but reality is very different. These provisions are not yours alone. They must also feed the eunuchs, palace maids, and servants assigned to your residence. By the time everyone receives their share, your own meal is often surprisingly modest. After breakfast, from around 9 until 11 in the morning, you finally have something that resembles free time. But life inside the Forbidden City offers very few ways to enjoy it. There is no music streaming from a phone, no novels to binge, no conversations with the outside world, no freedom to simply leave your palace. Most concubines spend these quiet hours embroidering, not merely to pass the time, but because a beautifully embroidered silk pouch stitched by your own hands could become an invaluable gift for the emperor or the empress dowager during birthdays and important ceremonies. If you come from a scholarly family, you might choose to read instead. But even books are tightly controlled. Romantic novels and stories about forbidden love are strictly prohibited. Anything considered capable of stirring inappropriate emotions is forbidden inside the imperial court. By noon, a light meal is served before the palace settles into a short afternoon rest. When you wake, many women turn toward prayer. Reciting Buddhist scriptures and making offerings becomes one of the few sources of comfort available within the walls of the Forbidden City. Because in a place where nearly every aspect of your life is controlled, faith is often the only thing that still feels like your own.
The afternoon passes just as quietly as the morning. If you are fortunate enough to have earned the emperor's favor, or if your rank is high enough, you may occasionally be invited to watch Peking opera inside the palace. The Qing imperial family adored opera. For many women of the Forbidden City, it is one of the very few forms of entertainment they will ever experience. By around 4 or 5 p.m., the second and final main meal of the day is served. Once dinner is over, the atmosphere throughout the entire palace begins to change. Conversations grow quieter. Every concubine waits, because the most important moment of the day is about to begin, the selection for the emperor's bedchamber. At this very moment, the emperor is finishing his evening meal inside either the Palace of Heavenly Purity or the Hall of Mental Cultivation. Meanwhile, the chief eunuch from the Imperial Household Department enters carrying a large silver tray. Resting on that tray are dozens of small green name tablets. Each one bears the name of a different imperial consort. Tonight, the emperor will choose one, perhaps yours. If no eunuch arrives at your palace, your night is already decided. You have not been chosen. You return to your room, knowing that another opportunity may not come for weeks or even months. But if fortune finally smiles upon you, everything happens at once. Your attendants immediately prepare a hot bath. Your hair is restyled. Fresh robes are brought out. Every detail of your appearance is carefully inspected one final time, because tonight you will meet the emperor. Popular dramas often exaggerate what happened next. Some famous scenes have become so widespread that many people now mistake them for historical fact. But while certain details vary depending on the period, one thing remains true. The rules surrounding imperial intimacy leave almost no room for personal freedom. After bathing, you wait inside your own residence until specially assigned eunuchs arrive to escort you. For the emperor's safety, you are forbidden from wearing elaborate clothing or carrying anything that could conceal a weapon. Depending on the customs of the period, you may be transported in a specially designed sedan chair or carried under the strict supervision of palace attendants. The journey from your residence to the emperor's chamber is conducted in complete silence. Every movement follows protocol. Every step has been rehearsed countless times. When you finally arrive, you do not simply climb into the emperor's bed. According to palace etiquette, you approach from the foot of the bed before joining him exactly as court protocol requires. Outside the chamber, the eunuchs are waiting. Not merely standing guard, but keeping time. Your audience with the emperor is never entirely private. When the allotted time has nearly expired, usually no more than 2 hours, the chief eunuch calls from outside the room. If the emperor does not respond, he calls again, and then a third time. This was an ancestral rule of the Qing court, designed to prevent the emperor from becoming consumed by pleasure while neglecting affairs of state. Unlike the empress, who was occasionally permitted to remain overnight during important ceremonies or festivals, imperial consorts were expected to leave as soon as their audience had ended. No matter how the night had gone, you returned alone to your own palace. And if your name was never chosen in the first place, the night felt even longer.
Around 8 or 9 p.m., the palace gates were locked for the evening. The keys remained under the control of the Imperial Household Department. No one entered, no one left. Eventually, exhaustion pulls you into a restless sleep, but it never lasts long, because before you know it, the watch drum echoes through the Forbidden City once again. 3 in the morning, another day has begun, and tomorrow you will do it all over again.